So I started getting harassed around the time of the royal wedding. The moment that people knew I disagreed with some things about my sisters.
I grew up as an only child, and I wished I had siblings.
It's like everything. It's lie upon lie upon lie.
Hello to all my gorgeous, good-looking friends. You are tuning into TRG's series covering the Markle vs. Markle defamation lawsuit. If you are new to the channel, welcome. For those who are returning, thank you for coming back and supporting my work. I'm always grateful to have this like-minded community to discuss the beloved royal family and the cultural impact of its members on society, particularly in America. Okay, before I get into this, let me just put the disclaimer. I am not a legal expert. I am simply just reading what's in the public court files and giving my interpretation and observations/opinions. Please do your own research and come to your own conclusion. So picking back up with the Markle versus Markle case, we left off with the hearing on February 15, 2023. This hearing was for Meghan's team to plead their case on why this case should be dismissed. Well, yesterday, the judge came to a decision and granted the motion to dismiss. Now, many of you, including myself, were disappointed to hear that this case was being dismissed. There had been a lot of people who had thought that this case was going to be dismissed based off of deficiencies within Samantha's filing. I had the opportunity to talk to a few people offline about this case and did agree to some extent that there were some missing elements to it that would have completed the full picture. And after I read through the reasons as to why this case was dismissed, it makes total sense. So does this mean that this is the end of the road for Samantha in this journey? Maybe, but maybe not. I don't think Samantha is going to give up this easily. She does have a small window of opportunity to amend this case within the next 14 days. Now, this is my opinion, personal, I'm not giving advice. I think if I were in her shoes, I would take those 14 days and I would rethink the strategy and include Netflix now. In the live tweeting that Smelly Hall did the day of the hearing, she did mention this one tweet that if the case isn't dismissed, they may supplement with the defamation that was seen in the Netflix documentary, or they were thinking about filing another lawsuit based on the statements that were made in this mockumentary. I don't think they need to start a whole nother lawsuit. I think that they can amend this and include it into the case. So from what I read, here's what I understand as to why the statements in Finding Freedom was dismissed because of failing to allege the defendant published them. My interpretation gave me the understanding that this was also a technicality. So let me give the example. So Meghan wrote that email. We all know that she wrote it because it's there in black and white. And she sent it to Jason Kanoff. It didn't go directly to Omid Scobie. So in theory, it really is Jason Kanoff who then gave this information to Scobie. Now, if he gave it to Scobie with malicious intent, which we know he didn't, then Samantha could have then gone after Jason Kanoff. But because Meghan gave this to Jason Kanoff and really had no control over what happened to that email and the information on it, then she really was excused from being held liable for it, if that makes any kind of sense. It's kind of sucky because we all know that that information in that email was intended for the book. It just would not stick to her as being the one who published it. As opposed to, let's say, she gave that email directly to Scobie and then Scobie then published it, then yeah, she would have been held accountable and liable for it. And that's how I understood the reasoning behind this in this legal document. But I could be wrong because I'm not a legal expert. But anyhow, and because the Finding Freedom element to this case was the core main part of it, the secondary, which was the Oprah interview that was listed, sort of fell down as well because there wasn't enough substantiated evidence to say that, yes, all four of the criteria were met for defamation. Hence the reason why it was dismissed. And many of you have agreed in the same camp that it shouldn't have just been the Finding Freedom, because in itself, it wasn't just that contributed to all the abuse and harassment that Samantha got, as well as her book being sabotaged and just a complete life destruction. It was a result of the ecosystem. So now what I think should happen, and I hope they're thinking about it in this way and they're not going to give up, is that they have to look at the whole ecosystem. It's not just Finding Freedom. In my opinion, it's really about the media manipulation. That is the real defamation. And what we are looking at is a series of related techniques in which Meghan created an image or argument that favored her and trashed her sister. Such tactics that she used included the fallacies, the outright deception or disinformation, rhetorical and propaganda techniques, as well as suppressing information. So she used her PR team to craft this image that we all know has been a facade. And her PR engine really was controlling the flow of information to us end users. Let's be real for a minute. Meghan holds grudges. I mean, come on now. Her father took some photos and she couldn't forgive him. She's still holding it against him. What set it off for Samantha for this full-on smear campaign was when Samantha, in October of 2018, exposed Meghan for being a liar. That's when she was in Fiji and gave that speech that she was the one who paid for her college tuition and got her through to school, when that was a lie. It was her father. And Samantha blasted her for lying about that, but also not helping her father, who went into bankruptcy as a result of it. So Meghan was exposed for the shit person that she really is, and she didn't like that. That's why it's not just Finding Freedom and Oprah. It's Netflix was a part of it. Social media was a part of it. The PR team was a part of it. Bot Sentinel was a part of it. Samantha should really go after the Sussex machine because they were all working hand in hand together. The puff pieces that were coming out that were bashing her sister, Samantha. You had the Sussex squad who had been amplifying those messages and then doxing Samantha and threatening her life. All of this Meghan knew about. And let's not be naive to think that the only email that exists that shows Meghan trying to sabotage her family exists only with Jason Knopf. I will bet you that there are more emails like that where Meghan is controlling the narrative and telling people what they need to be doing. We all know she has social media accounts. We all know that she is very controlling, and we all know that her team, if not her directly, had been paying these people. We have receipts. And what I struggle with is wondering why Samantha didn't lean more on this community rather than leaning on those that have been in the loop for a hot minute. Now, I'm not saying they're not credible. I'm just saying that it could save a lot of time because those that have been into this for the last 5 years are sitting on troves of data that tells a very compelling story that paints a very clear picture with roads leading back to Meghan Markle. That may not be exposed now, that slowly but surely it will come out one way or another. I mean, we have been seeing this. It's just the mainstream media is really slow to get to where we have been for the last 5 years. But anyhow, I'm sure Samantha's team has everything under control and she's got the right resources and people helping her. So I'm sure that they have noted the extremely defamatory stuff put up on Meghanpedia.com and are looking into including that as well into the lawsuit in this ecosystem because it is bad, but it does support this case. Anywho, we'll just have to wait and see over the next 14 days if there's anything that's going to be amended. If by that point there's nothing amended, then yeah, we can throw the towel in and say that it could be over. But I'm still hopeful. I don't think Samantha is the type of person that is just going to lay down and give up so easily. You still have 14 days to make some changes and keep this going. Don't give up, Samantha. If you're listening to this, Probably not, but if you are, don't give up. There's a whole community here willing to help you, so take advantage of it and lean on us. In the interim, we really need to keep raising our voices, especially with the IRS, and letting them know that there's some funny business that we're seeing in the Archwell tax return and would like an investigation open. So I'd like to say thank you to Ava Gardner and thank you to Lady C for taking the time to review the content that I'd put around this and getting that message out. And it should be investigated. Let's see how it goes. Anyhow, what do you guys think? Leave your thoughts below. As always, I will be back soon with more content. But until then, please be safe and I will talk to you later. Bye.
I was such a fraud.